All right, what's up, guys? We're back. Wanted to do a quick video today, maybe a little bit of a fun video, kind of looking into the future of sprint car racing and look at who could potentially be the next couple of drivers or next driver to go on a full-time national tour, whether that being with the World of Outlaws or with High Limit Racing. I think there's quite a few guys that are getting close. Or they've been thinking about it, right? Or they're on the verge of maybe putting everything together to go for a full-time season with either of the two national series. Now, none of this is all speculation, right? I'm just trying to guess. I'm thinking of guys that I think would be competitive right out of the gate and would be, right there in the mix for top tens each and every night. And I'm looking at guys that I think have the experience. They've got the funding behind them, maybe. They've got everything going for them that they could potentially make a full-time run at it. A couple of these guys on this list I have heard some rumors about, but I'm not going to go on here and say, yes, I heard that this guy is going full-time racing next year. I'm putting them in order of guys that I think that could do it next, right? And, like I said, I have heard those rumblings from some of these guys, and I have put them in particular places where I think that they should be on this list. But other than that, it's kind of just me thinking, okay, well, that guy, it looks like he's doing pretty good, and he ran well here, and he's got a lot of sponsors and this and that. He's got the trailer, he's got the crew guys, he's got all the stuff he needs. I think that he might be able to make it work, right? But right now, it's kind of weird with the world of sprint car racing. With High Limit, you got 16 guys, man. That's a lot of guys on a tour. You got, 12 or 13 with the Outlaws. So it's going to be interesting next year how everything shakes up, who goes from High Limit to the Outlaws or who goes from the Outlaws to High Limit, how many guys actually run full time, because I do think that actually plays a huge factor in guys that maybe aren't on a tour right now and they're thinking, man, there's already 15 guys running. That's going to be tough for me to beat them each and every night. I'm just going to keep running a pick and choose schedule, right? But who knows? Maybe the money comes around. There's more money to go around in each series next year. Who knows what happens? And you can get a couple more guys to go on a national tour. In my opinion, the two national tours right now are very, very successful. I mean, like I said, 16 High Limit, 12 World of Outlaws guys. You got 28 guys running full time right now in Wing 410s. And I think that there could be next year, maybe there could be more room for some more guys to jump on board. So let's get into it here. The top 10 guys from the 10th to the first guy. We're going to start at the bottom over here. And this one is a very, very long shot. I don't think that this guy is going to change what he's doing right now. But I think if they did try and do it, they would be able to do it with instant success. They've got everything they need. They got the cars and the engines. It seems like they've got the speed to do it. And I don't think they would struggle very much at all if they decided to do this. And that is going to be Anthony Macri. So Macri at number 10 on this list. Like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. He did run and fill in for Tyler Courtney last year. Kind of got a little bit of a taste of what it was like to travel with a series with the All-Star Circuit of Champions. But right now, Macri, everything's just going too well for him. He's winning too many big races. He doesn't have to commit to a schedule. He can go do whatever he wants. He could take a weekend off here or there. I really don't think we'll see Anthony Macri on a full-time tour, but if he did, he would be a huge addition to either series, and he would be an instant threat to win each and every night. But I've got him at number 10 just because I don't think it's going to happen. Now, the number 9 guy, he has proven that he is fast, and he has traveled quite a bit around the Midwest. Not really much to the East Coast and Pennsylvania and things like that. He has done a little bit of racing out there. And kind of weird that I have him next to Macri because he did drive this car not all that long ago, and it is going to be Justin Sanders. So Justin Sanders proved there those couple months when he was driving Macri's car that he can jump into a different type of race car, a different car that he's never ran before, and be able to run top 10 against the Outlaws. He did it a ton of times last year when that whole situation went down between Macri and his family. And I think that Justin Sanders could no doubt, if he gets into the right situation, I don't know if that Demo Mitri 2X car, I know they have a lot of funding behind them. I don't know if they're anywhere near going to a full-time tour or anything like that. But I think if they did and they got the right crew guys and things like that, they could definitely put something together for Justin Sanders to compete and do pretty good, because he showed when he was in the Macri car that he was a very, very capable driver. We saw him do so well already this year on the West Coast, and he was so good last year on the West Coast when the Outlaws came to town and all that stuff. Justin Sanders, in my opinion, should be on a national tour. Could he be one of the next guys? I'm not sure. I've got him at number 9 on this list, so I'm not super confident because I think he would need to find a ride for that to happen for him. Now, number 8 on this list, and this guy, I think it might be too early in his wing career to be going to a full-time status, but he has done full-time stuff in the past. He did full-time USAC sprint cars. He did full-time USAC midgets. He's been doing almost exclusively wing racing all year long, and he's been very successful at it so far this year. And it seems like he has a pretty good team behind him already, and that is Emerson Axam. So Axam, as I mentioned, in his first full-time year of wing sprint car racing, I would be shocked if they did make that next step and go outlaw or high limit racing next year. But so far, he's went to so many new tracks and he has had success. He almost won a race at Knoxville in weekly competition earlier this year. He's won some other races all across the Midwest, and he's been extremely impressive. He was good in midgets. He was good in non-wing sprint car. He's good in a wing sprint car as well. In my opinion, Emerson Axam slightly underrated in the world of wing sprint car racing with the amount of experience that he has right now. But I think that those guys, in maybe a year, I don't know if next year is the year for them, but maybe the year after that, I think if they put something together, we could see him on a full-time basis with one of the major touring sprint car series. Now, number 7 is a guy that has done a lot of touring in the past. It's all been with a 360. He did 9 full-time years on the ASCS National Tour, and he won the championship there 2 times. And I think these guys got the funding. I don't know about the crew and all that stuff and all the equipment to do it. I'm not really sure. But this guy, I think, could do it. They've struggled a little bit with the 410 under the hood this year, and he really doesn't have that much 410 experience. But I could see this guy either a year or 2 from now becoming a full-time competitor with one of the 2 big series, and that is Blake Hahn. So Hahn, as we mentioned a moment ago, 9 full-time years on a traveling tour. And when he was on the ASCS tour there for a couple of years, they were going to California. They were going to the East Coast and Williams Grove and all that stuff, right? So he's been to all, parts of the country and ran on all types of different racetracks. So they have that going for them, right? The problem is he just doesn't have all that experience in the 410. And like I said, they have struggled a little bit this year, have had some moments of greatness, but it's been a tough year so far for Blake Hahn. But I could see him maybe in the next 2 years being on a full-time tour, because I think that's where most guys want to be. They want to be a full-time race car driver, and I could see Blake Hahn making that jump here very soon. Now, number 6, this guy told me actually at the Chili Bowl this year that he almost was signed on with High Limit, but just does not have the crew guys. It's him and one other guy right now. They've ran almost, I think, maybe the most high limit races so far this year as a non-full-time high roller. And he's been fast here recently. Almost won a race just recently with High Limit. And like I said, he told me at the Chili Bowl that he was very close to signing on with the series, and that is Lynch. The problem with Lynch, as I mentioned, and it's a problem with many teams right now, is just trying to find the crew guys, trying to find the help and the experience that you need to be on the road full time. He doesn't have a crew chief, right? He's doing it all by himself. He's got one other guy doing it, Lynch. He's the Iron Man right now, man. I mean, he is doing all these races and doing it with just him and one dude. And it's very, very impressive what they've been able to accomplish here this year. It seems like they've got a lot of good sponsorships on side of the race car. They've got the funding they need. They just need some help. They got to put a couple more things together, put the puzzle together. And I think maybe we could see Lynch here soon on a full-time tour. Now, the top 5 guys, in my opinion, these are the guys that I think we could definitely see within the next 2 years running either High Limit or the Outlaws. I have more conviction in these 5 guys than I did in these 5 guys. And so we'll start at number 5. If this guy went on a national tour, he would be able to pay for his entire operation by just t-shirt sales, right? He's just such a popular driver. In my opinion, maybe top 5, maybe even top 3 most popular driver in all of sprint car racing, which is crazy to say because this kid's like 20 years old. And this year, in my opinion, he has taken the next step in his racing career, and that is Tanner Holmes. Tanner Holmes, he came out and ran High Limit, ran the Outlaw stuff a little bit earlier in the year. He struggled. They went back home, and they've been very, very good there. Got that first NARC win out of the way, ran really well at the Dirt Cup at Skagit. Obviously did not have the result at the end that they were hoping for. But Tanner Holmes, like I said, he is one of the most popular drivers in the country. I think if he went on a tour like High Limit or the Outlaws, he would be a huge draw for fans to come and see him. That's how much of a pull this guy has. He's kind of like a Rico. He's kind of like a Larson or a Sheldon or a Donnie Schatz, right? Which is crazy to say, but he does have that star power. And I think that he could make it happen here soon. He's got the t-shirt trailer. We just saw him buy that, and we've seen them travel around quite a bit here over the last 2 seasons. But could they put the whole thing together and make it happen? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see for Tanner Holmes. Now, number 4 on this list, he has a brother that is already a full-time driver in a series like the Outlaws and High Limit. He has multiple car owners that he could maybe choose from that could potentially do it for him and make this happen. And right now, he is the NARC point leader. He's taken the next step just like Tanner Holmes this year. I would say he's maybe even a step above Tanner Holmes this year, and that is going to be the driver out of California who has quite a few victories so far this year, and that's Cole Macedo. Now, I think Cole Macedo, like I said, every car he's been in this year, whether that's the Tarleton car, whether that's the Honest Abe 16T car, the 2C car for Wayne Johnson, the crew chief, he has performed in all of those cars. He's turned a lot of heads this year. We've already seen what his brother can do on the Outlaw Tour with Carson Macedo. So many wins, so many quick times, has put himself in position to win huge races. And there's no reason to think that Cole Macedo, it's maybe taken him a little bit longer to get to this level, but I think that he could certainly be a guy that is on a tour next year. Now, the one car that I think out of those 3 cars we mentioned, I do think that maybe the 2C car, and I have no insider information, but that is a car that has formerly ran the Outlaw Tour on a full-time basis. They did that with Wayne Johnson for 2 years. He won the Rookie of the Year or the Outlaws a couple of years ago. So they've done it. They've been there before. I think that we could see Cole Macedo and maybe that 2C car. I know they're running 360s right now with somebody else, but maybe, just maybe, he could put something together with help from Tarleton and all the sponsors that he's got to make something happen, especially after a breakout year like he's having right now. Now, number 3 on this list, and I think that this guy would already be a full-time driver with one of the 2 series if he did not have this little thing going on with Toyota and the Midget Series and trying to maybe make it to the NASCAR level and pavement level and stuff like that. And you got to respect him. If he's going to try and do it, you got to try and make it happen. But if it doesn't work out after this year or whatever, I could really see this guy signing on with one of the 2 series. Now, this year, it seems like he's had a bounce back year after a tough 2023, but Ryan Timms does appear to be kind of back in the saddle of the sprint car. He got a win here recently at Huset's, I believe. He's ran a lot better this year. 2023 in the sprint car was a year to ride off for Ryan Timms. 2022 was fantastic. Took a step back in 2023, and he's now bouncing back here in 2024. Still a long ways to go, obviously, in the season, and so we'll see if he can get even better. But he needs to figure out what's going on here between Toyota and the Midget Series. Obviously, he's still very young and has plenty of time to be a full-time sprint car driver. But I think if something like this does not work out, we could definitely see Ryan Timms make it happen. It does appear they've got the equipment, they've got the funding, they've got everything they need to make it happen there for Ryan Timms. Now, number 2 on this list, he's had a breakout year as well. He's won, Ohio Sprint Week races. He's won races with the Great Lakes Super Sprints. He's ran pretty well with the Outlaws this year, decently well with High Limit as well. And this guy has already talked about publicly that he wants to try and make a run at a national tour next year. And I would be really, really excited to see him do it, whichever series he goes with, whether that's the Outlaws or High Limit. But let's talk about Danny Sams here for a moment. So Danny Sams the third. I probably didn't need to put the third on there on the list, but Danny Sams, I think that certainly he may be, out of all 10 of these guys, the one guy that out of all of them that does make the jump up to one of those national tours. As he mentioned a moment ago, he's already talked about it on podcasts and openly to the public that is their plan. They gave up everything in their hometown to come out here and try and race against the best and improve their results and improve their program, and they have certainly done that. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs of that program, like as far as how many cars and engines and all that stuff they got. They don't have a crew chief that is like a designated crew chief that's somebody from Danny Sams' family, right? It's his dad, I believe. And so I think they need to put a couple more things together, but Danny Sams could be a guy that jumps up there onto one of those national tours. Now, number 1 on this list, and I have heard some rumblings about this as well, and this guy reminds me a lot of Brian Brown in the fact that he is so very good with the sponsors, I feel like. And that is a huge part of this, right? If you're going to go full-time racing, you've got to have good partnerships. You've got to have good sponsors. Your car's got to look clean. You got to be good on the microphone and good at talking and things like that. And I think the number 1 guy on this list, he has been working towards becoming a full-time sprint car driver. He's still relatively young. He's still got plenty of time to make it happen. But I seriously think that we could see this number 1 guy being a full-time competitor next year on either the Outlaw Tour or High Limit, and that is Garrett Williamson in the number 23 car. Now, I don't know if it's going to be the 23 car next year. If he does do this, and like I said, I have no insider information. I just hear rumblings through the pit area and things like that. And you can kind of tell that those guys have been trying to build up a pretty good program here ever since that whole thing happened with the old 24 car and things like that. This new ride that he's put together, he's got a lot of good help behind him. And I think that Garrett Williamson has, he's won some races this year, kind of like Cole Macedo, Tanner Holmes. He has taken the next step up in his sprint car career. Got a win at Houston's this year, got a win at Knoxville. He's ran well with the Outlaws. Hasn't ran a ton of high limit races, but when he does, you can always expect to see him running around the top 10, top 15. And so Garrett Williamson is number one on my list for maybe one of the next guys who could go on a national tour. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave it a like, hit the subscribe button as well. Comment down below. I want to hear your thoughts. Who do you think out of these guys could potentially go on a national tour next year? Did I miss somebody? Let me know down in the comment section below. Who do you think could be an outlaw or a high roller next year? I want to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll talk to you again soon.